Here over at Huck Cycles, just taking a little peek. We're here with Brett McCoy, founder of Huck Cycles. We're going to just run through some questions about these bikes that we've run through, just going off the forums, things that people might want to know. So is there a tank size difference between the Rebel 2000 and the Stinger?
No, currently the tank, see one right here on this bike, is consistent across all of the bikes. We are currently working on a couple of new designs. We're going to have a metal tank design soon that is a little bit larger for the 72 volt 50 amp batteries. We're also working on replacing the fiberglass tanks, which is what we've been shipping with, because fiberglass is becoming more and more difficult to get right now due to the lockdowns, coronavirus, and the demand for fiberglass medical products and things like that. So we're going to go to a plastic, ABS plastic thermal form.
Sweet, sweet. Can our Rebel 2000 use either one of the Stinger battery options?
It can, however, we need to know in advance, or the rider would need to know how to program the bike to change the voltage from a 60 volt to a 72, and then dial in the amperage as well.
So they could just work with you guys directly for that?
Absolutely.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Which models come with mirrors and foot pegs?
So currently we're shipping, surprise, all bikes are going to get foot pegs and mirrors. All bikes are going to get alarms. All bikes are going to have the key lock. All bikes will be set up with all the bells and whistles. You just knocked out a bunch of questions. But how do these bikes handle off road? So it depends on the package. The better shocks you get in the rear, the better it's going to handle, squishier ground or rough terrain. The tires that we have on the bikes are an on-road, off-road tire, so they handle really well actually off-road in gravel and loose dirt. You would probably see greater speeds if you went to a street tire on the road, but these are an all-around great mix tire for a scrambler type motorcycle.
And I've heard, are there different tire options that the buyer can choose?
There are, and I can show you a number of them today while you're here. So we have the standard tire, which is the Enduro tire, which is actually a great tire. It's probably my favorite tread in the shop. We also have the ability to do street tire, which you can see over on the bike over there. And then we have a couple of more rugged off-road tires, which have bigger knobs that would handle the muck and mud and Pacific Northwest or desert rider more.
And you answered this earlier that an alarm system is included. My next question is Regen braking included with any of the bikes?
All of the bikes have Regen. We just are not marketing it, so we have it.
Okay.
I'm not going to play it up as being a great addition to the bike. The reality is that if you charge a battery, it takes a long time to charge that battery out of an outlet in the wall, right, at 5 amps. Regen is going to give you 1.5 to max 3. You're just never going to get there, right? So yeah. It's a nice to have for a small trickle, but that's all it is. It's a trickle.
I got you. And is the Regen just specific to the back brake when you hit the back brake, or
Correct.
is it?
Yeah.
Cool. This one you kind of answered already, but with other electric bicycles, I saw them having problems if you just take it off something as simple as a curb on a street. Mm-hmm. How would these handle just going off of a simple curb?
I think any bike going off of a curb could have an issue if the rider isn't experienced with leaving one terrain to the other terrain or one height to the other height. Most motorcycle accidents happen on the thruway when a rider, hits the uneven pavement, goes up or goes down, right? The bike it kicks, right? Either your front end kicks off or your back end kicks off and can cause issues. So I would say that has to do with rider capability more than anything. we won't have the flat issues that some e-bikes have. We use Tuffy double tough tubes. We have nice liners. The tires are all really nice on-road, off-road tires, so they'll handle it from a beating standpoint.
Dang, so they come with the Tuffy liners. I actually was going to buy those
They
separately.
do come with the Tuffy liners. Yeah, you can see that. We have them stocked over there. Many boxes of Tuffy liners.
This place is next level, man. I love it. Next question. How easily is the battery removed from each bike?
Yeah, I think in any bike, the battery is going to be potentially difficult to remove based on the size of the battery, right? So a 52 volt is pretty small. It's easy to pull in and out. 60 volt gets a little bit bigger, right? A little bit more difficult, a little more weight. The 72 volt 50 amp, it's a big battery. You're talking 35 pounds of just block, right? So it fits in and out with some love. It's made to be a tight compartment so the battery doesn't jump around, right, and cause issues.
Makes sense.
But they can be removed. I try not to suggest that you would do it often or every day, only when you really need to.
Okay, that's fair. Just on the same topic of, well, so the answer is basically the bigger the battery, the harder it is to remove.
Yep.
On the topic of the battery, what brand are the battery, like each individual cells, do you know?
I do, however, again, it's one of those things where I'm not really marketing it, so we use different cells for each battery depending on what the battery intent is, right?
Gotcha.
So some cells are better at power and discharge, other cells are better at range and longevity. So we do use a mix of cells and a mix of options to get the best battery for the bike and the rider in the current situation. We are exploring a partnership with a new provider of cells that buys the extra Tesla cells. So we'll be doing some testing here shortly with some cool batteries with using the Tesla technology.
So, sounds like it, man. On the topic of parts, are you able to disclose the brand of the motor of the hubs used in the bikes?
Yeah, so we use QS 205 motors. We have different variations of the 205. So the 2000 is a straight 205. For the 3000 watt, we have two options. So we have a 5T and a 3.5T. Each has a different torque rating. Each has a different peak wattage rating as well. So one is wound for torque and power. The other is wound for speed, so torque and speed. And we determine based on the order from the customer who's going to get which one.
Makes sense. In that same vein, could we talk a little bit about the frames? I know we've spoken about this prior to the recording, but
Sure.
where are these frames built?
So the frames are built in Shelby, North Carolina, about 45 minutes to an hour from here. We partnered with a fabrication shop that focused primarily on 60s and 70s vehicles. And they're just a great bunch of folks. They're veterans like us, so we found a great partnership there. Built a friendship over the process of doing many iterations of the frame, and have remained close to them even though we continue to grow. So,
Love that. What about the forks? Are those also made by the same people, or?
they are not. So we use, because of the size of the bike and the styling of the bike, we went with the EBR front forks, which are similar to like Onyx uses or Monday motorbikes. So these are forks out of Italy. We use the EBR racing fork, and we're currently using two different versions of that fork, again based on rider style. So we have the Magnum fork, which is a 27-inch, and then we're also using the Maxi fork, which is a little bit shorter, 24-inch, for those riders who are looking for the same ride but just a little bit lower stance.
Cool. So, if someone was to pick a bike up, I've seen online that the bikes are shipped restricted to e-bike mode.
Yep.
Someone was to pick the bike up, are they able to work with you guys to have it shipped unlocked, or how does that work?
Yes. So I want to do the best thing for the customer and ship them a bike that meets all their needs, but I also have to be careful of the legalities of shipping a bike that doesn't meet the laws of where they reside, right? So with most bikes, we will ship them tuned appropriately based on the type of bike it is. So we will ship the 1,000 watt tuned to meet the local laws as an e-bike, right? The 2,000 watt will be shipped safely and appropriately at speeds of around 40 miles an hour. And then the 3,000 watt will ship at a speed of around 50 miles an hour. Now it's up to the customer. I will be providing the programming cables so they can go in and make changes if they want and tune the bike themselves. But I want to make sure that they get the bike and they're safe on the bike. They're not flipping the bike. They're not wrecking the bike. They're not hurting themselves or someone else or damaging the bike in the process.
Safety is paramount.
In legalities too, right? I don't want people getting their bikes taken, right? I want them to follow the rules. That's why we went through the process of getting bins. So we can issue a certificate of origin. You can register it. You can get insurance on it. You can get a plate. That's important to us.
Speaking of that, you're kind of feeding right into the next question. For those who want to register their bikes, what does that look like? Just, I mean, obviously, you know, it's different per state, but just high level, 10,000 foot level.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult. So in North Carolina, for example, where we are, you can register a moped as long as it doesn't go over the speed limit of 32 miles an hour. You can register the moped and you don't need a license, you just need a license plate, right? So anybody can ride it as long as they've got a license plate. In other states, those laws vary, right? The mileage varies, or some states don't even have a moped license. It's a straight motorcycle license, right? For a motor-driven vehicle or a smaller motorcycle style.
Cool. And last question is the Fender option. I know we just spoke about this before I hit record, but for the record, what are the Fender options?
Okay, so we are working on some Fender options. I'm happy to, if you want to take some video later of a tour, I can show you some of the options that we're working on. So we're working on some Fenders now. What we're trying to do though is come up with a customizable bracket that will allow us to use a single bracket with multiple Fender types. So should you decide to buy a Fender bracket from us and then later on want to change that Fender out for something more sporty, more classic, you want to go black or chrome, you could change out the Fender and not have to worry about new brackets.
Awesome. That's all I had right now for questions. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Again, this is Brett, the founder of Huck Cycles. Brett's going to give us a little tour of some stuff that they're working on, some new accessories or options for these bikes.
Yeah, so this is a vintage seat off of a old moped that we have acquired. We've got the rear hump. You also get that fantastic chrome in the back. So we're looking to provide it both with just a flat round back hump leather option as well as a chrome option. And then from Fenders, we're exploring a couple of different options. Got these beauties. They're quite lovely. So we're working on the Fender brackets for these right now. Classic, but these are plastic, so these are going to be something that you could swap out and do more music with. We have a black Fender option, right? More of a street style.
Clean, very clean.
Yeah, very clean. And then we're working on a couple of ideas for some sportier options, like off of the old Harley Dynas. So we have chrome, and we're also playing around with some black looks, shorter, stubbier, right? More street style.
Real clean. I'm totally digging that.
Real clean. We have a couple of interesting things that we're playing with as well. We've got the fairings that everyone has seen in the black and the white. We've got our racks that everyone has seen. We are playing around with a really fun idea of putting a front windshield on a bike, more like the old 70s police style chips
That'd be sweet.
look, which is super fun.
Looks like over here we got our different seat options.
Yeah, so we have all of our seat options here. We have your tan, which I know everybody asks about the tan. We have tobacco. It's a quick look at the tobacco so you can see the differences. We have a new color that we haven't really shown anyone yet. It's got more of a reddish tint to it.
Kind of a maroon almost.
It is. That one is going to wear very nicely. You have a black with white stitch.
It's clean with the diamonds. I like that.
And then we have black on black. And then we may still have, I think we're out of them. We did have a black with the same pleats. We're also starting to get in some different options for our pedals. So these are the standard pedals based off of the 60s Pooch that we were looking at as part of our inspiration. We have some other interesting pedal options that we're going to start exploring for our customers as well. Again, all things that you could have added during build, so you don't have to do it after purchase.
I think that's really what separates you guys is all of the customizability that you guys offer. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Brett. Cycles, he's going to talk about a little bit about the swing arm.
Okay, so we have our own custom fabricated swing arm designed specifically for our bikes. Because we designed our own swing arm, we had to build everything, including the bottom brackets. A couple of things that I'll point out in addition to our awesome logo being cut in. These holes throughout the swing arm are intentional. We can use them as anchor points for the phase wires coming out of the motor. They're also anchor points to run zip ties through for our rear brake line. We have some additional changes that we've recently made. Larger, more universal holes for foot pegs. We have a secondary hole for foot pegs and a hole for our rear shocks. We've recently gone in and retooled our swing arm to allow for an adaptable and adjustable rear brake that allows you to change the size of your rear rotor or your brake setup and then adjust within these grooves. Our bottom bracket we have fabricated with a brass bushing, and then we're using our own internal workings to build a very solid, somewhat indestructible setup here, so it will handle the high-speed turns and curves on the road, as well as the off-road beating that I like to do to the bikes.
That thing is solid too. I picked it up and you could drop that off at 40 feet and it'd be fine.
A couple of other things that I'll show. So we've recently added a new bracket system to the swing arm that allows you to lock your rear axle in place and adjust it as a chain tensioner. So you're going to have pre-tapped holes, and this bracket here sits on top. It allows you to pull it forward or pull it backwards or lock it in the center as well. And then we've come up with our own set of brake brackets as well. So we detach the bracket that comes on the rear brake system. We reattach this bracket, and then we've created a spacer that goes behind and allows you to run your brakes through at the proper distance without having to deal with washers, etc.
Next level stuff with Brett from Huck Cycles. Smooth, man. It's not like it's jumpy or anything on the throttle.
First one that's been able to go for a ride with me.
Dude, I love this. This is smooth, it's quiet.
I'm the muff. Trip. That's true. Solid suspension.